when you were growing up and you came to Chicago, what do you remember doing?
Well, my favorite thing in the world was I was into magic, and back 1,000 years ago, Marshall Field's, the toy department used to have a magic counter. And so that was my favorite thing in the world, is to go. And there was a guy who ran it, and he was a magician, and he would do like a show every hour. And that was like we'd come twice a year, and that was when I'd come and get my new magic tricks. And so I remember just like my heart would be pounding whenever I'd walk into Marshall Field going up there. So that's how big of a nerd I was.
How amusing / surprising has it been for you to kind of become this unofficial spokesman for the role of women in film? It seems like that's where it's come to. I mean,
I love it. I embrace it. But at the same time, you go like, wow, man, it's like it's 2013. Really, this is still an issue. You know, it's just, I think the way the business has been kind of, you know, running for the last 30 years, at least the business of comedy, has just been. I think they have business models that show that for some reason women won't show up. I don't know. I've heard the evidence, but I just don't buy any of it, because I go, women are 50% of the population. Right. Like, clearly they're going to show up to see other funny women in a movie.
So what has to happen to kind of put this conversation to bed?
It just has to keep making money. When movies like this come out, they have to do well.
No
but it's up to us. No pressure, exactly. But it is up to us as filmmakers to make sure that we're not just going, okay, just throw a bunch of women in and then they'll show up. That's not fair either to anybody. So you really got to make sure that these women's movies are, movies starring women, let's say that, are good, that you put them through the exact same rigors that you put any other good movie. Gone are the days, because of social media and the internet and all that, where you can make like a crappy movie and then try to pass it off with a bunch of ads and nobody knows. The minute the first audience goes in Friday morning and it's not good, it goes out all over Twitter and everything. So, but it's good. It raises the bar for all of us.
You talked about both of these characters having to be real badasses. How much authority did you have in instructing Sandra and Melissa in how to be a badass?
Well, they're pretty badass anyway, I have to say. So I just kind of got out of the way so they didn't go badass on my ass. But it was great. I mean, they're both real actresses, even though they're comedy actresses. And so they really put everything through a very rigorous test of, is this real? Would I really do this? Is this really my character? And I love that, because what I don't like is anything that's just silly, or like, I'm just going to go for a laugh. It kind of hurts my character. It's not really what a real person would do, because you never want an audience to go like, oh, come on. That's the worst moment you can have, when somebody goes like, that wouldn't happen, or why are they doing that? Then you lose the audience.
How do you be careful of that sort of thing? Because I feel like, especially with someone like Melissa McCarthy, who is so funny, so talented, but it's easy to look in the past few decades at these talented comedians who can, maybe because of the filmmaker or the project, who just go completely overboard. How do you make sure that you're not letting it go into that kind of broad place?
My feeling is that people who are really good at comedy don't do that. I think a lot of that comes from people who aren't great. Comedy isn't their main thing, and so there's a tendency, bigger, and like there's a feeling of weird power you have on the set when you're like, I can make people do anything I want, and so you can like get somebody and have them going over the top, and it seems really funny in the moment to the crew, because you're like, I can't believe they're doing this crazy thing. Yeah. But the minute you get back on the screen, it's just like, it's like a clown show going on. But what I found in my life is that anybody who's great at comedy has this natural governor inside them, that they can go up to a line, and then when they hit that line, they will not go over it. And it's almost my job sometimes as a comedy director, hiring those people to go like, you know what, you can go a little further, because you think your line is here, but watching you, I think you can go a little bit higher, and it's not going to be unrealistic. It's just going to give it this extra bit of funny.
Have you ever looked back on something in retrospect and said, oh, maybe we took that a little farther than it should have gone?
Well, no, because I do in the editing room, because I will push, sometimes on the set I'll just go, let's just really go crazy, knowing that when I get in the editing room, that's when I can control it. It's not like a live performance where it's just out of my control. So that's why I do so many test screenings. You put it up and go like, is the audience going to laugh? And they'll tell us very quickly, like the bathroom scene in Bridesmaids.
Right, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, we shot a ton of stuff. Some of it was really like crazy, but knowing
more than what made it in?
Oh yeah.
What other bodily functions are there?
Well, no, there's just more vomiting. There was one where Ellie Kemper's character like thinks the bathroom's full, so she runs down what she thinks is another bathroom and throws it open, and it's actually the woman who owns the place, like white office, and she like projectile vomits all over the office. But we very quickly went like, you know what, too much, it's too far. But that's the thing with the the math and the test screenings is you go like, let's push a little far, let's pull back, and then you eventually find the right mix.
Obviously, tons of people in the industry kind of throughout their career have these really high highs and low lows. Do you feel like you in particular, though, have had these kind of devastating situations with cancellations and things that didn't get picked up, and then a movie like Bridesmaids comes along and completely changes your life, it seems like.
No, I've really, you know, I'm not going to complain because I've always got to work in the field I wanted to, but yeah, it's really been a roller coaster ride because, yeah, we had Freaks and Geeks, which the critics love, but then it bombs, and, you know, kind of on a ratings level, it gets canceled, that's a drag. Then I make, you know, a couple of movies that don't do well, and suddenly you're in movie jail and you can't get out, and nobody's going to let you make a movie again, but then all of a sudden, you know, Bridesmaids pops up, you know, I first read it in 2007, and then suddenly in 2010 it pops up again, and you know, Judd wants me to do it and Kristen wants me to do it, and then it does well. Yeah, so it's really a nice roller coaster, but what you learn each time is how to try to avoid the mistakes you made, you know, the previous time. And it's just a lot of trial and error. I mean, everything comes from a pure place. You're never like, nah, I'm going to do something different, you know, or you know, you just kind of like, oh, I think this will be good, and then you go, oh, I wasn't hard enough on myself, and that's what it is. You really just, you learn more lessons about like, okay, this is where I should have been harder on things.
That's never a good thing if you're doing kind of an evil plot for anything.
Well, I know, exactly. Sometimes.
I'm going to get Subway for lunch.
That's right. That's always part of my evil plot.
How much, you know, since Freaks and Geeks, well, which is 15 years or so by now, Judd has kind of looked at different phases that have come after that in life and some of his work. How interested are you in doing that sort of thing, looking at different stages that way?
I mean, I always want an honesty in what I do, but at the same time, I think he's plumbing his personal life a lot. I think with Freaks and Geeks, I kind of got that. I did it, and I felt great about it. So now I'm having more fun doing bigger stories and then applying that realism to the characters in a bigger story, you know, so that their motivations feel real. But at the same time, I don't feel like I need to kind of, at the moment, kind of get ultra personal with the things I'm doing, because I just want to, my goal right now is to create movies and projects that people have a lot of fun at. You know, it just, you know, the world has gotten, it's a heavy, serious place. I realize people work tough jobs. They want entertainment. And I want to be the guy that, you know, I want them to show up and have a great time. And then if within that I can slip in a message here or there, or I can kind of, you know, move them, or, then that's great. But the motivation is just to hear them laughing a lot.
Can you think of a time early on in the Freaks and Geeks process when you really saw star quality in someone, like someone had come in and you're like, oh, wow.
Honestly, it was every member of that cast, because what happens is, you know, we threw the doors open wide, because I really want to make sure we got an interesting group of people in that, and saw a lot of great people, and so you're always going like, oh, that person's really good, that person's good, they could be this, they could be that, and then when the ones that you use come in, they're just like, you're like, oh my God, and it really just kind of blows you back out of your chair. And so that was each one of those kids I call them now, we had that effect where you're just like, oh my goodness. And because they bring along a personality and a take that's different, and there's a charisma you get. And so I honestly felt like every one of them were stars. The fact that they all became stars, that still kind of boggles my mind.
Obviously, you don't quite take credit for that, but is there a part of you that, I mean, we do a local band contest every year, and occasionally some of them go on to like get a record deal or something like that, and I, as the person who chooses the finalist, I feel a certain amount of pride that we kind of help them in that effort. Do you, when James Franco got a nomination for 127 Hours, was there a certain part of you just like proud that you were able to put him in that direction?
Yeah, you know, you feel like a proud father, you know, because, you know, I know other people have made them great, and I know, you know, Judd took a lot of them under his wing and taught them how to write and all this, which was great. But you just, having been there at the beginning, you just, because, you know, I know other people have made them great, and I know, you know, Judd took a lot of them under his wing and taught them how to write and all this, which was great. But you just, having been there at the beginning, you just go like, oh, like, I feel like I raised them, right? You know, just even on our show, the fact that, you know, we really were kind of kept everybody honest. We didn't allow any star behavior. We didn't allow, you know, it's very easy for when you're young to kind of immediately get in that world and go in your head to expand. And we were very good at crushing heads.
James Franco, Jason Segel, Seth Rogen all have very, very distinctive laughs.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you have impressions of any of those guys.
Maybe Seth. Again, that's the kind of Seth is in that world.
That was good.
He's so funny because I did a TV pilot years ago, and Seth came in to do a little role in it, but he came into the writer's room, and when he's pitching jokes, it's just the levity level all in the room just goes crazy because he just has that laugh that's so funny. But I wouldn't deem to try to do say I do a good impersonator, but I love when I hear Seth laugh.
Well, you've expressed frustration about what you perceive as kind of guys' humor versus women's humor, but you know, there's a moment in The Heat where Melissa's character is looking for her boss's balls. Do you feel like do you feel like in a way you can take quote unquote guy humor and have women doing it, and then it makes it funnier?
Yeah, as long as the women aren't acting like men. You know, what's so funny about that scene is that was Katie Dippold, you know, who wrote the script. Wrote that. That was one of the first things that made me laugh at this whole, like, you know, she's trying to find my balls. But I think it's funny because I honestly have heard, you know, my wife who's a professional, I've heard her once on the phone yelling at a guy like, "Have you had any balls?" And it's kind of like, okay, so it's not just a guy thing.
Well, there you go. How do you know when it's women acting like men or just women having a different type of personality?
It's a very distinct litmus test, but it's basically, you don't want women doing something that you don't think a woman would do. Because I get that. What I do is I get sent these scripts a lot where it's, you know, kind of like the woman version of guys trying to get laid, and so like we got to go out and I know there's women do that, but it's a weird thing. Like even just how they express it. You know, again, I just vet all my actresses to make sure that I'm being honest. So if we had that thing, and I hired a bunch of great actresses, comedic actresses, I would always be like, would you ever say this? Do you ever talk like this? Is this a motivation you guys have, and this is how you act it out? And they will be very quick to tell me if it's not real. I mean, that's how Bridesmaids was working. It was just like, you know, everything was like, would you say this? And a lot of times they'd say no. And it's like, okay, well, how would you do it? We do it this way. Okay, great. And that's why that movie feels so honest. So
have you ever gone to the bathroom in the street?
Yes, exactly. Somehow some seem to pass the test. Honestly, that's the joke that the women in the audience laughed at the hardest. I mean, every time she would sing, I would sing down in the street, they would literally scream with laughter. So I go like, well, that must relate to something, some issue or some, you know, fear or something that people, you know, that women have.
Have you seen the recent movie Black Rock?
No, I haven't.
I bring that up because Mark Duplass wrote it and his wife Katie Hazelton directed it, and I believe that Katie had talked about that in Mark's original script. He wrote things for the female characters like, "What's up, bitches?" And she was like, "Women don't really say that."
Yeah, we would not say that. Right, exactly. But that's why you have to be vetted, because there are worlds in which, you know, the guy like, "Come on, just say it, it'll be funny," and then you and the audience are going like, "Come on, really?" And then, you know, there's nothing worse than women watching going like, "Really? That's how we talk? Thank you, thank you, sir, for telling us how we talk."
Well, is there something that you think women misperceive about the way that men talk?
Oh yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think you need a mix of people running these things. Because honestly, as much as I can complain about some chick flicks, some of them have been made by women, and they're still not good, and they still feel weirdly dishonest. So you go like, and a lot of times it's because then the male characters are too much this, or they're too assholey, they're too this and that, and you go like, okay, well now you're doing a shitty version of what we think, you know, women do. So again, it needs to be a mix so that there's a constant vetting and people are making sure that it's honest. And so that's why I like to have a lot of women around when I'm doing it. But I have guys weighing in too, and you know, and I'm almost kind of watching the guys. Okay, this is how they do it. And if women wanted to go this way, they go, "Yeah, I don't think we would do that way also." So it needs to be constantly watched and you know and made honest.
A movie that scared you when you were a kid?
Alien. Scared the hell out of me. I mean, I literally said I thought I was going to die, like, because I like comedy. So but we love sci-fi, and so I thought it was going to be kind of sci-fi Star Wars thing. And I'm sitting there, and from 5 minutes in, I'm numb, absolutely numb in fear, and really didn't enjoy being that scared. And also Jaws scared the hell out of me too.
Would you have a similar reaction to that now? Do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like scary movies. I avoid them like the plague. But I'll go to see them, and they're usually not as scary as I think they're going to be. But Alien was beyond.
What's a rap song that you know the words to?
Well, I kind of know "No Love" by Eminem and Lil Wayne.
Can you remind me how that goes?
Oh boy, what's it? Oh man, oh god, you put me on the spot. What is it? Oh shit. It's not gonna work. I know it says, "Bitch, you get no love," which is perfectly in keeping with my trying to empower ladies.